Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, while also highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video I'm playing Borderlands 4, the sequel to Borderlands 3 and the latest installment in Gearbox's looter-shooter franchise. Borderlands has generally been one of my favorite game series of all time. It's had its ups and downs for sure, but even the lowest points have been more fun than a lot of other games out there. That said, this is the first time I've played one of these games on its release, and while I'm definitely having fun with it, it's hard to ignore that it launched with a lot of issues, so let's just talk about it.
Everyone get a warm welcome like this?
Borderlands 4 kicks off 6 years after the events of Borderlands 3, where the moon of Elpis was teleported away from Pandora and over the planet of Kairos, which is ruled by the immortal Timekeeper. In the game, you play as one of 4 Vault Hunters who arrive on the planet and are immediately captured by the Timekeeper's forces, only to be broken up by the Crimson Resistance. From there, you join the fight to take down the Timekeeper, liberate the citizens of Kairos, and work to uncover the planet's vault. One of the biggest problems with Borderlands 3 was the writing. With Handsome Jack gone, the villains felt bland, and the overall story just wasn't as strong as it could have been, but Borderlands 4 definitely improves on all of that. The main narrative is more serious in tone, but the trademark Borderlands humor still comes through, especially in the side missions, and the Timekeeper himself isn't nearly as charismatic as Handsome Jack was, but he's menacing in a ruthless kind of way.
You exist in my universe.
At first I was actually a little worried that the game was leaning a bit too far into seriousness, but the very first side mission I picked up reassured me that the silliness is still here, even if it takes more of a backseat to the main story.
That's enough weird for me!
The game is also a lot more self-contained than the past entries. Knowing the backstory of Borderlands 3 and who some of the characters like Claptrap or the Crimson Raiders are helps, but newcomers shouldn't feel lost at all. The gameplay loop is exactly what you'd expect from Borderlands, running, shooting, and looting, but Borderlands 4 makes some notable changes that help it stand apart from the earlier games. One of the biggest changes is the world itself, as instead of jumping between segmented areas with loading screens, this game takes place in one massive overworld. To support that, new movement mechanics have been added, grappling to anchor points, gliding across wide gaps, light wall climbing, and even a double jump. That said, the invisible walls and blocked off surfaces that are common to the series are a lot more noticeable in this game since you have so many more movement abilities at your disposal. Later on, you'll also unlock the ability to construct a vehicle nearly anywhere in the world, which is a huge improvement over past games, where losing your ride meant running across the entire map until you find a catch-a-ride to get back on track. For the first time, Borderlands also includes difficulty settings, with easy reducing the damage you take, normal offering a balanced experience, and hard increasing the challenge while rewarding you with more money and loot. Once you actually get into the game, Borderlands 4 has you pick from one of 4 Vault Hunters to play as: Vex the Siren, Amon the Forge Knight, Rafa the Exosoldier, or Harlow the Gravatar. Customization is also the deepest it's ever been in a Borderlands game, allowing you to adjust colors, heads, and body options, and instead of hoping for random drops, cosmetics now unlock through missions and challenges, which feels more purposeful. Not every change in Borderlands 4 is for the better though, with the minimap's removal being the most notable one. You do have a compass, can use your Echo device to create a temporary waypath, and can bring up an enemy radar in the settings, but I constantly found myself opening the world map just to figure out where to go next, especially in the smaller areas. I know some players like the more immersive approach, especially with the game being more open world this time around, but I personally think that having the minimap should have at least been an option.
Feelings mutual, man.
Combat has always been a strong point in Borderlands, but it just feels way more refined in Borderlands 4. Each Vault Hunter has 3 branches to their skill tree and can choose between certain abilities and augments to power themselves up. So far I've only had the chance to play as Vex, but the variety in her abilities alone has been constantly keeping the combat fresh, with her being able to summon allies or even just increase her damage output and survivability.
You're dead to begin with!
The game still has a ridiculous variety in weaponry as well, with some weapons allowing you to switch between elements and fire modes, and the new mechanics letting you use your grapple to pick up and throw objects like cryo canisters or explosives mid-fight, in addition to an equipable health kit that you can use on a cooldown, letting you heal without relying entirely on health pack drops or regeneration abilities. Enemy variety is solid with the expected mix of humanoids, mechs, and beasts, but with fresh designs that keep things interesting and better intelligence that lets them act like more than simple punching bags. Boss fights are a standout as well, and I'm gonna avoid showing too many of them here, but there are some real spectacles as you get further and further into the game that are absolutely worth taking down.
They all sound fun.
When it comes to co-op gameplay, matchmaking unfortunately uses a similar system to the one that we got in Borderlands 3, as opposed to Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel. While the process does seem to be quick, you can't pick from a list of open games, which means you can easily get thrown into lobbies with AFK hosts or ones that you'd just rather avoid, and there's no real way to avoid certain games if you keep on getting sent to a specific player. Another thing to note right now is that while mission progress does carry back over to your character, it doesn't seem like map progress does. So if you finish a main story mission with someone online, your save file should reflect that, but if you reclaim an overworld silo with them, it may remain uncaptured once you leave their game. Local split-screen gameplay is an option as well, but only for 2 players this time, and 4-player co-op being exclusive to online only. I still believe that playing with a group of people is the optimal way to play these games though, so I appreciate that the options are still there. Borderlands 4 generally looks pretty great, but there are some rough edges for sure.
You're supposed to compliment them! Rude!
Grass and texture pop-ins are noticeable from a distance, showing you untextured fields until you get closer, but the Borderlands art style we've come to know and love has been refined and looks sharper than ever. My bigger issue with the game's presentation right now is actually with the UI and menus. Past Borderlands games have had a distinct style, even when paused, but the menus here feel like they were ripped from a generic sci-fi shooter in design.
Out with the old, in with the new, eh?
Navigation within them feels incredibly clunky as well, with some weird choices such as you having to hover over an icon to see how much money you have, and weapons being sorted by manufacturer with no way of changing the default, as well as having to use the joystick instead of the D-pad to move around most areas on console. Ironically, the UI is easier to read while in split screen, an issue I've had with past Borderlands games, but I really just don't think that it's been optimized as well as it could have and needs some work overall.
Not much to go on.
On the positive side of things, your Vault Hunter actually appears within cutscenes for the first time, and you'll hear them talk a little more often too, just enough to give them some more personality without ever becoming annoying.
Oh hell yeah, I hate thinking. This is ideal for me.
Sound design is excellent as well, with you being able to hear every little clink in your gun, as well as noises way off in the distance, and the music is pretty good too. I'm not really actively noticing as much as I have in past games, but the tracks never stood out to me as bad or distracting in any way. Unfortunately, Borderlands 4 has a lot of technical issues right now. I've run into enemies' bodies reacting to death on a delay, ragdoll physics going haywire, characters' clothes clipping through their bodies, and dropped weapons being impossible to pick up, in addition to necessary enemies to kill not appearing on the compass, enemies phasing through walls, and even NPCs who just floated away from me. There's also currently no FOV slider, and the accessibility and graphics options are really limited, which is confusing to me since the past games have all had more in their options. PC players seem to be struggling the most right now though, with stuttering, frame drops, and even crashes coming up as some of the biggest complaints on Steam, but my time on PS5 has actually been a lot more stable, really only dealing with some frame rate issues when playing in split screen and connection issues with online co-op. Aside from those issues, load times are a bit on the longer side, but since the game is more open world than past entries, you won't see them too often, and I didn't have any other real performance issues, though I do hope we get some patches out for everything else soon.
Seriously, can you imagine?
Borderlands 4 absolutely feels like an improvement over its predecessor.
This is the start of something new.
The story and writing are stronger, the combat is tight and satisfying, and the gameplay loop is addictive as ever, but that said, the game has launched with its fair share of problems. The UI and menus are clunky, I found myself running into tons of bugs and glitches, and PC players seem to be getting the brunt of post-release performance problems. For diehard fans of the franchise, I think it's worth diving in right away to experience the world of Kairos with the new Vault Hunters and weaponry that are available, but if you're more of a casual player, plan to play on PC, or just want a bug-free experience, it may be better to wait for some patches to smoothen it all out.
I take that personally.
Either way, I already know that I'll be finishing the story and chasing the 100% completion, and with plenty of post-game content already laid out, it's clear that Borderlands 4 is going to be here for a while.
Vault Hunter, want to do the honors?
As always though, this is just my opinion. Whether you've just landed on Kairos, or you're already forming a plan to take down the Timekeeper, let me know in the comments what you think of Borderlands 4.
Mission accomplished!
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.